Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today we are going to talk about the books that I wish I'd read in 2018. So I have 10 books to talk to you about today. That was not on purpose. I just grabbed all of the books off my shelf and it happened to be 10, which is kind of perfect. But these are not just kind of the books that I wish I'd read, because I really wish I'd read every book on my shelf in 2018 because I can never have enough knowledge in my brain. But these are the new releases that I have acquired onto my shelves. And a little bit of backstory on this, you may have noticed that I don't really buy new releases, and the reason for that is I really don't mind reading backlist titles. Because I've always been like a second-hand book buyer, I don't feel like I can justify paying full price for a book if I'm unsure about it, because there's no guarantee that I'm going to get to it anytime soon. So like, you will have noticed that I have hauled a lot of new releases this year, but you may also have noticed that they were by authors I really love, or they were special editions, or something like that. So when I do purchase a brand new book, I feel like I have the intention to read it almost immediately, but these ones have slipped by the wayside. A few of these are also gifts that I've received this year that I kind of intended to get to a lot sooner, while they're current, while they're relevant, because I don't have too many new releases, so when I do have them, I feel like I should read them while they're relevant. What I will say is that there are quite a few 2018 releases that I have read this year. You'll notice that there will be a lot of book diaries that aren't the Throne of Glass series that I've done this year, and they were all for 2018 releases, so I have read quite a lot, but these are the ones that I have not managed to get to. So these are in no particular order at all, but the first one is Girls Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. Now this one, actually, I'm glad that this is the first one in the video, because this was sent to me from my Amazon wishlist and I don't know who sent it because the gift receipt was like half printed. So if you did send me this, thank you very much, and also please tell me who you are. This one follows a girl whose best friend is raped by her brother, or her brother is accused of raping her best friend, and it's kind of about this girl being caught in the middle of wanting to believe her best friend but also not believing that her brother could do something so atrocious. You know me, if I read contemporary, I like it to be dark and gritty with a lot of substance, and this sounds absolutely perfect for me. I'm so grateful to whoever did buy me this, because it's one of those books I would never have bought for myself because it's by an author I don't know. It's a contemporary, but I'm so glad I have it, and I just wish I could squeeze it into the end of this year. Then we have Lifelike by J. Kristoff, and this has been on so many TBRs. I was anticipating this so much. First off, I had to wait forever for it because the UK release was months after the release for the rest of the world. I waited because I liked this cover, I got the book, and I did not read it. So I don't really know what this is, because I did literally buy it because it's J. Kristoff and I absolutely love him, and while I agree I have not read the Illuminae files yet, I have read 2 of the Nevernight books and 1 of the Lotus War books, so I know that I love him as an author. So I was dying to read this. But this is like some sort of sci-fi, but it is by the king that is J. Kristoff, and I'm so annoyed that I have not got around to it. Another gift, and one that is quite hyped at the moment, is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. I knew that I had to read this as soon as I saw it because it is a Asian inspired fantasy, which, as you guys know, I absolutely love. I did not expect to receive this, and I thought I would leave it a while, because with hyped books what I tend to do is like leave it a few months, see if people are still talking about it, and then if they are, then I will go out and purchase it. I'm not one to like believe the hype straight away. What I know about this is that it is an Asian inspired fantasy that follows these casts of women. You have the paper cast, and then there's 2 others I think, but paper is the lowest, and this girl who is from the paper cast is chosen to become part of, like, I guess he's like an emperor, the ruler of the country's consort, which is not a good thing because the king, or whatever his title is like half demon, and not like metaphorically, like he's literally like a demon looking guy. Similar to Lifelike, this was one of my most anticipated releases and I just have not got to it, and that is Catwoman by Sarah J. Maas. To be fair, I have overloaded on Maas this year. I have reread the entirety of the Throne of Glass series and then Kingdom of Ash, which was 1,000 pages. However, I really want to read this because this is a Catwoman origin story and this is part of the DC Icon series. I want to see how Sarah writes outside of the 2 series that she has established. I want to see how she writes a story that isn't about Fae, and a story that isn't, like, I see superheroes as more sci-fi than fantasy, so I want to see how she writes outside of her usual genre. However, I have not got to this yet, and this is one that I'm so mad about because Sarah J Maas is like one of my favourite authors and I need to read this as soon as possible. Then we have The Dark Vault by V.E. Schwab. I requested this from the publisher Titan Books and they kindly sent me a copy. This is the bind up of V.E. Schwab's, I think it was her first published work, the Archive series, and it has been bound up into one volume for the first time in the UK, and this cover is absolutely beautiful. So what I know about this is that it is about a girl whose grandfather worked in this library. However, in this world, libraries contain bodies and bodies hold the secrets and knowledge of the people who lived in them before they died, and she is sort of left to take over the responsibility of looking after this library of bodies. I did not get to this because I received it about a week before the release day, and then I've just had like such a backlog TBR at the minute, but I am hoping to get to this soon because the reason that I wanted it is that I read the first 2 books in V.E. Schwab's Dark Shade of Magic series and didn't really love them, but I do want to give her another chance. I do think that she could end up being an author for me, and I thought that this may be a good opportunity for me to do so. Another gift, this one is from Heather and it is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahara Mafi. So the reason that I really wanted this one is that I am fascinated, and I know it's morbid, but I am fascinated with anything to do with 9/11, and that is because it was a big deal to me at the time, even though I was I 9? I think I was 9. So it was a big deal to me at the time, and I'm not even from the US, and I remember my mum having to explain to me like why it was a big deal, why it had happened and things like that. And I feel like 9/11 was is the biggest atrocity of my generation and my lifetime, and so I really want to know as much about it as I possibly can. And this story follows a girl after the aftermath of 9/11 and how she is treated for her religion. So religious books are not something that I really dabble in. I don't really read a lot of books about religion, but the 9/11 focal point of this is what really draws me to it. Once again, it is a contemporary, and another reason I want to read this is that I don't have Shatter.Me and I don't necessarily intend to read it, but if I like this, I'll give it a shot, and this might be a better introduction to Tahara Mafi's writing. Then we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and I was given this as a birthday gift. Now I will admit that this is one of the ones where the hype kind of got to me and everyone was like, this is like an awesome young adult like black fantasy, and I was like, okay, cool, I really want to read this. So I got it for my birthday, but I never really intended to read it anytime soon. But with the new book coming out and with sort of all the hype around this, and then now that time has moved on, people are saying that maybe it isn't as good as everybody made out, but like obviously like major points for diversity. So I really wish that I had read this so that I could weigh in on that discussion, but this is like an African inspired fantasy that has, I believe, a lot of African mythology and things like that. I don't really know a lot because, like I said, like the hype really got to me on this one, and that is the main reason that I wanted it. But regardless, I wish that I had read it because it's been like a big thing this year, and I have FOMO. This is a book that I have out from the library, and you guys are gonna know that I've had this out from the library a long time and I still have not read it, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kong. This is another like super hyped one, but like I said, it's from the library. I didn't pay for this one, so I don't feel quite as like, it's not like I bought it because of the hype, but essentially everyone was saying like this is like one of the best fantasy books you'll ever read, so of course I had to get it, but I just haven't got around to it yet. Now this is probably out of this list the one that's most likely for me to like actually possibly read by the end of the year. It depends how fast I get through my other reads, but as it's a library book, I do need to prioritize it sometime soon because I've literally had this out of the library for months. I keep renewing it as many times as I can, and then I take it back and I check it out again. So I really need to read it. But this one follows the rape of Nanking, which was when an entire city in China was massacred, raped, murdered. That's what massacred means, by the Japanese. I don't know why. I know it was a historical event. I'm not entirely sure when it happened, but essentially I believe that it is that story, or that historical event is woven into this story, but in a fantastical world. Another Asian inspired fantasy, which is something, like I said, that I'm super into, so I really need to get to this, and hopefully it will be soon. So out of all of the books on this list so far, this is the only one that I broke my own rule for, and my rule is that I don't buy brand new books by authors I haven't read before or that aren't in series that I'm already reading. But while I'm not so much a sucker for hype, I am a sucker for a beautiful cover and a beautiful edition. So I bought City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty way back at the beginning of the year because this cover is stunning, and I haven't read it yet. But there is actually a reason for this, because I always did intend to read it, but I did start the Rebel of the Sands trilogy just before I bought this, and I don't want to read them both at the same time because they're both desert fantasies. They both contain djinn or genie, and I can't read them both at the same time because I will get the stories intertwined. When I was reading Rebel of the Sands, I did read the first chapter of this and I was already getting them confused, so I knew that I could not read this until I'd finished that trilogy, and I still yet to read the third book in that trilogy, so that is why I haven't read this one. But I know it's going to be amazing. I know I'm going to love it. This edition is beautiful. Ideally, I would like to get to this one before the second book is out, because one thing I definitely don't like is that I will have to buy the second book in the edition that matches this, and I don't want to do that if I haven't read this yet. It follows a woman who's like a little bit of a trickster. She's been selling like herbal remedies and like healing type things, even though she's not qualified and she doesn't believe in them. She goes to exorcise this girl of a genie that has been possessing her. She thinks that she's making it all up and the girl isn't actually possessed, but it turns out that she is. Where it goes from there, I don't know. And then lastly, the last book on this list, I hope you're not watching this, Ryan, because I'm not even sure if you remember this, but in May, Ryan let me borrow the Smoke Thieves by Sally Green, and I still haven't read this. So he got this in the Illumicrate, he read it, he said it was good. I have read the Half Bad series by Sally Green, and while I admit there was a lot about that I didn't like, by the time I got to the end of the trilogy, I was like super hooked. So I wanted to see what she did with this, because this is like a multi-perspective fantasy series. That's all I kind of know about it, but I do know Sally Green as an author, so I kind of like, I would go in on just that premise without knowing that much about it. But it says a princess, a soldier, a hunter, a traitor, a thief. So I'm guessing that those are the perspectives that you find in this book, and based on like the Half Bad series, I like, my brain doesn't quite connect how she can write a book like this coming from a series like that. So I was very intrigued about it. The reason that I wish I'd read this is because I should have given it back a long time ago. It's been on many TBRs and I just am slacking. So this is one that I kind of do want to read soon because I want to give it back to Ryan, because not only like do I feel bad because I borrowed his book and I feel like I should give it back to him, but the books that I borrowed from him are taking up space on my shelves that I could fill with books that I have. Like, I have a couple stacked over there that don't have space on my shelf. I need to read this so I can return it and clear up some space on my shelf. So that is everything for all of the books that I should have read in 2018. Please let me know if you have read any of these and which ones were your favorites. I know that a lot of these are quite hyped and you will have, like, some of you will have read them. I think pretty much most of you will have read at least one. And please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today. Bye! Oh, that was high-pitched.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.